beautiful people? How are we doing today? It's been a minute since I was on this side of the screen. All right, I'm gonna do my favorite thing of the day, which is kick out the robots. Where are these little sneaky little recorders? Oh, getting there. All right, how's everyone doing? Hopefully good. Welcome to another office hours. I know it's been a minute since I've run on one of these things, and if you've not missed me, but if you have, good to have you back over here and finally kick off one more beautiful session. But this time around, with a completely separate guest from what we usually get, we've got people from the other side, the dark side, but the side that we love. It's almost like the crust of the pizza. It's needed to feel like the entire pie is tasty, which is LinkedIn. We've got the team from Expandi. We're going to speak about LinkedIn automation. We're going to talk about everything that they do to help scale their business and help businesses scale their business using their platform and everything around LinkedIn that helps us drive revenue. We know it is a primary driver of business for all of us, whether it's content automation or socials. So let's get that sauce going. But before we do that, for those who've been new here or who are not new, we have a fun little tradition where I try and make fun of everyone's lives compared to mine, which is I try and understand where you all are in whichever part of the world. So open the little chat, drop in where you are, drop in the temperature of where you're at, and let's get the ball rolling. So then I can tell you that I'm in the warmer temperature because it's finally getting warm in Sydney. So Switzerland 20 Celsius. Okay, I'm not that. Brooklyn 84. 84 Fahrenheit. Ooh, who's at 11? Who's 11? Oh, we got Perth. Oh, Perth's 11? Actually, why am I lying? Sydney's like 9. So I'm lying, guys. Sorry, it's quite cold over here. So I'm going to feel bad about all this. Damn. All right, we're global. Lovely. Awesome, 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 awesome. All right, let's kick off. Right before we do that, how many of you, while we're getting the people popping in the chat, how many of you, with a show of hands, not show of hands actually, you can just put a thumbs up in the chat. How many of you already know Expandi? Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Ehsan, if you're calling from Antarctica and you're doing cold outbound from Antarctica, we're gonna talk about priorities, my friend. So drop in a thumbs up in the chat if you are already using Expandi or know of Expandi. All right, we got it. We got it,
There we
Shackers.
are.
All right, we got some. Sweet. Okay, can't be just one. Okay, we got some people who use it, some people who don't. No problem at all. The coldest outbound. But I'm just all right. And one last question before we kick off, from the audience we have over here. If you are effectively an agency, can you drop in whether you're an agency or a SaaS? Or just say agency, non-agency, right? So if you're an agency, just type in agency. If you're non-agency, just type in non-agency. Let's go with that. Agency, agency, non-agency. All right, we got a bunch of agencies. Lovely. All right. Well, we got a good understanding for our audience and our customers. We've got a couple hundred people on the call. The heat is on. Let us kick off. Matteo, floor is yours, sir. Would love an introduction. Let's learn all about what you have to offer and how we can become even more colder in our outbound from Antarctica.
Amazing, amazing. Well, hi everybody. Thank you for the amazing introduction. I'm very glad to be here. It's both an honor and a privilege to be talking about our fantastic integration between Expandi and Smartlead that brings outreach to the next level. We're combining multiple channels, and that's the key for 2025 and 2026, as we're going to see together. I'm going to share my screen and share a little presentation to give you a little bit of context about what we're going to be talking about today. So let me just do that. Can you all see my screen? I'm hoping so.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So today we're going to be talking about email and LinkedIn, how we create a unique pipeline, and why do we do that? So first off, to give you some context, my name is Matteo. I'm from Italy. I help B2B sales teams and agencies to scale their LinkedIn outreach with smart and data-driven strategies. Again, to give some context, before working with Expandi, I was already working in a marketing agency. I was running lead generation and also working as account manager, managing the key accounts. And since I started working with Expandi, I support customers to optimize their outreach flows to get real results and focus on building an outreach that feels personal, human, but mostly works at scale. So it's a scalable process. Now, let's get right into the thick of it. Why are we doing this? So why are we combining multiple channels? As the title says, Outbound isn't one channel anymore. It's a sync or sync. So email alone isn't enough anymore. We know what's happening in the last few years. We have seen the rates of various campaigns plummet. And what matters the most right now is combining multiple channels in order to be able to have a coherent and unique flows that keeps to the same, again, to the same type of messaging, the same type of coherency, the same tone of voice. Now, in this session, we're going to be talking about Smartlead with Expandi work together to trigger timely, human, and personalized outreach across both of the channel, turning intent from users into actual replies and calls and perhaps conversions. Today, we're going to be covering actually 4 different workflows in 2 workflows, we're going to start from Smartlead and then go into Expandi. And the other 2 are going to start from LinkedIn, so from Expandi, and then we're going to go into Smartlead. These four workflows are going to be the post scraping workflow, the webinar sign up workflow, the product sign up workflow, and my favorite, the inbound profile visitor follow profile flow. Sorry. So let's get into the next slide. All right. Getting into the first workflow is going to be the product sign up workflow. So this is going to be the flow that converts signups into meetings. Now, we are assuming that we are running some product demos. With those product demos, we have a CRM to combine all of our customers' data. Let's assume in this case it's going to be HubSpot. Now, using Smartlead, we're actually able to push immediately the data from HubSpot into Smartlead itself. So we are able to populate it. From there, we're going to launch a 3-step cold to warm email sequence that is going to basically allow us to start having some kind of contact with these people. Again, the key factor to remember here is that we are always starting from intent. The email outreach, the LinkedIn outreach is never going to be 100% fully cold, but it's going to be starting from some kind of social signal here or there. In this case, we have leads that have actually signed up to our product, that have maybe ran a demo with some of our sales teams, some people from a sales team, and now they're signed. Of course, we have their data. We're going to start to do some outreach. Again, we are going to run these first 3 emails from Smartlead, and depending on the user behavior, so depending on whether they're going to open the email, they're going to click on some links on the email, they're going to bounce on that email, depending on what's going to happen, we're going to be able to move those leads from that point into Expandi so that we can actually reach out to them in LinkedIn. Now, here I have a little bit of a screenshot. Later, we're going to get into the more of the thick of it and more of an in-depth look on how we can create custom workflows on LinkedIn. But here we have a first approach. As you can see, what we want to be trying to focus on is to get those social signals in. So in this workflow, in this screenshot, you can see that before actually reaching out to a possible lead, we are first visiting their profile. We're liking a post. We're following that profile. We're performing actions that basically are going to help us close the gap between us and the lead. And before doing the hard step, which again, it's going to be, sending that connection request, we are, warming them up a little bit. We are liking some of their posts. We are following their profile. We're showing that we're interested in them before we ask them to be interested in us. After that, we are automating a series of follow-up messages, but we'll get into that later. Now, the idea behind the message is that, again, both when we're working with emails and when we're working with Expandi, so LinkedIn, we want to make sure that our message aligns with the original sign-up intent. And that's going to be protruding both into the emails and in Expandi. Whether one platform comes before the other, we're going to keep having the same tone of voice and the same kind of, we're going to bring the same type of message. We generally recommend when we're working on LinkedIn to have at least a couple of, so 2 touch points before we have a direct engagement with them, before we send a connection request or a follow-up message, so that we are actually, we're making sure that they notice us and we have a higher conversion rate with that. So again, this is kind of the first idea of the flow. This again, starting from HubSpot, going into Smartlead, creating those 3 emails, and depending on where the people, the leads bounced or replied or opened those emails, we're going to push them in Expandi and create different campaigns. Now,
Matteo,
jumping straight.
sorry
Yes.
to cut you short. There are 2 questions on the chat. I just wanted to bring them up for all the other users as well.
Mhm.
Can you just explain what LinkedIn profile visits and likes are? That's a question by Sonny. And there's another question by Ehsan. Is this like Dripify or Meet Alfred? Is this like, if so, does this one uniquely hook into Smartlead?
So, first off, what do I mean by, visiting profile, liking a post? Let me actually jump straight into Expandi so I can show you with a bit more details what I'm talking about in this case. So let me just get into a campaign real quick. There we go. I'm going to explain this one later, but I can show you what I mean by that. When I mean follow a profile, for example, or visit a profile, what's going to happen is Expandi is going to be able to log into our LinkedIn account on a virtual machine, of course. And it's gonna visit the profile of the people that we have logged into this campaign, that we have enrolled into this campaign. The goal of visiting their profile is actually not to, trigger something in this case, but it's just to send them that notification that pops up in their notification tab again and shows them this person XYZ have visited your profile. So again, since LinkedIn gives us a lot of this kind of small interaction, it tells us who visits, who likes, it tells us even the minimum type of interaction we have with different profiles. We want to use them as much as possible. And that's why we try to create some social touch points before sending a connection request. Now, this is going to be kind of the same logic behind the following the profile and liking a post. Although we have even more than just selecting how much time delay we want between an action and another one. For example, when we're setting a like for a post in the flow, we have lots of settings we can customize. For example, of course, we can select the time delay from the previous action, but we can also select how many days ago has this post had the last like. So we don't want to go like a post that, it's 9 months old, not relevant, nobody has seen, and doesn't really matter to my use case. Or how many minimum number of likes does the post have? Are we talking with people with lots of engagement, or are we talking with someone that maybe, just started posting and hasn't got all those likes? Or even more relevant when we're talking about campaigns with lots of people in it. Do we want to like a post that has a specific keyword? So again, maybe if we're talking to someone who works in different niches and we're interested in one specific niche that they cover, we want to make sure that we insert some keyword here so that we know that we are targeting posts that are relevant to what we are trying to achieve as well. So this is kind of the reply to the first question. Could you please repeat the second question?
Yes. The second
Thank you
question
so much.
is this like Dripify or Meet Alfred? If so, does this one uniquely hook into Smartlead? Ehsan, I think that will be something that Matteo will be covering across the session as well. So yeah, that will be covered in the upcoming slides. So let's just jump back in and yeah, Matteo, I'll just keep you posted on any other questions that users ask.
Perfect. That sounds great.
Awesome.
All right, so let's get into the second workflow, which in this case is going to be the webinar sign up. Let me just get into the presentation again, and there we go. So with the webinar sign up, just like we did for the product sign up, depending on what kind of activity we're doing with our company, we are collecting those signups from the webinars again. So we have lists of leads who are interested in what we are talking about, and we have collected those data into the CRM. So again, with the Smartlead integration with HubSpot, we are able to push those leads from HubSpot to Smartlead immediately without having to do all, lots of different types of extractions and enrichment, and it's just as easy as that. And once we have them in there, just like we did with the previous strategy, we can start creating a dedicated topic-specific email sequence. So the key here to differentiate the strategy from the previous one is going to be that the messaging is actually what matters the most, right? So as I mentioned before, since in this case we're always starting from intent, those people have shown their intent by signing up to a webinar, showing interest in what we're talking about. So what we're going to be covering in those emails is probably either going to be a free resource, some value, extra value from the webinar, or even a recording of the webinar, something that is relevant to what they have shown interest to. So again, we start from that, and that's the first step. After having done that, what we can do, as I was mentioning before, with the Smartlead integrated search in Expandi, we're able to pull those leads from Smartlead, depending on at what point of the flow they are and depending on what action they have performed on those emails, into Expandi. I'm going to show how to do this practically in a few minutes, so it's just going to be very easy to do that. Again, in Expandi, we're going to want to create something very similar to the previous one. So again, it's going to be a multi-touch point flow in Expandi. So again, we want to show those social signals. We want to visit their profile. We want to follow their profile. We want to like their posts. We want to show that we're interested in them before sending that connection request. And then, let's assume that even though we have set up the right workflow in Smartlead, we have set up the right workflow in Expandi, these leads are still not wanting to connect with us. Then what can we do about it? We can always re-push them into a different recovery campaign in Smartlead. So what we can do is actually not an infinite, but like kind of a long loop, as you can see, where we we try to hit the lead from different angles to make sure that we're not wasting any lead in our process, in our marketing process, but we're trying to basically walk every single path that is available to us. And I think that's crucial in a advanced marketing strategy. Now, what I would like to show you right now would be if we get real quick into Expandi, so I can show you how to actually populate Expandi with the people and the leads that we have from Smartlead. Since we have a direct integration, it's going to be very, very easy. So in Expandi, of course, you can always start from the dashboard. We have something that's called a search. A search is going to be the way that we use in the tool to populate Expandi with our leads. There's many different ways we can do a search, right? We can either work with the CSV, we can work with LinkedIn, but in this case, we're gonna be pulling those leads from the Smartlead software. So we're gonna select our connected app, we're gonna select the source for the campaign. In this case, it's gonna be Smartlead, and then we're gonna select one campaign that we have created. For in this case, let's say product signups. Now, it doesn't just stop here. Here is where we actually select at what point, at what stage of the campaign we want those people to be pulled into Expandi. So as you can see, depending whether they opened, they bounced, they clicked, or they replied to our email, we can get those people in here. Now, something that's also very interesting to note is that we can auto reload the search and auto assign it to a campaign. So this means that, for example, for just one email campaign, we could create 3 different searches depending on what the leads have performed. So maybe one search for who opened it, one search for whoever was bounced, and one search for whoever replied, let's say, right? And by having these 3 different searches in Expandi, we can create 3 different dedicated flows depending on what they have done in Smartlead. So as you can see, it's like creating a process that auto feeds on itself. So this is why I think it's very interesting to cover and to try to combine our softwares together, because the direct integration really makes it easy without the need of super advanced webhooks to immediately have those data from Smartlead into Expandi. All right. Is there any question maybe popping up, or should I get right into the third flow?
There are a lot of questions popping up. I'll just quickly ask them on behalf of the folks here. Let me just quickly start up with the first one. I think you're going to cover this later in the flow as well, but would be better. Are these actions done by a personal profile, or can these actions happen as a company profile as well?
No, in Expandi, you're always going to be working from a personal profile.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I think Kunal Majumdar had a question, which was with remote login, similar like LinkedIn helper. Kunal, if you could just drop that question or probably articulate that a bit better. If not, we'll open up the question towards the end of the session as well. You can type in yes, Matteo. I think there is another one by Jafar which says, what if we use clean HTML with no tracking?
What if we use, I'm sorry, what kind of tool is it? I didn't hear it.
Jafar, could you just expand and probably give us more clarity on what this question is? What you can do is you can just click on the React icon and raise your hand, and we'll probably have you expand on that question because it's not clear at the moment. Ehsan's question is, can Expandi get phone numbers of LinkedIn?
Yes, of course. That's depending whether the lead has shown it or not, because generally just some people don't add their phone number on LinkedIn for security reason, for not really revealing their data. But absolutely, if it's present on LinkedIn, we're going to be able to obtain the data that's present on LinkedIn. Absolutely.
Awesome. And one last question before we move on. It's from Ryan Jacobs. Is it not possible to send connection requests to all leads? I don't want to wait for them to engage before sending a connection request. Rather add Expandi as my sequence. Rather Expandi to my sequence. I believe, Matteo, you will be covering this, but it will be better to give people the best practices when it comes to LinkedIn connection.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So in this next 2 flows I'm going to show you, we are doing the opposite. So we're going to start from Expandi, so sending our connection request, and then we're going to move into Smartlead depending on what's going to happen. So let's get right into that. The third flow I want to show you today, the first one that starts from LinkedIn, is going to be the post engagement flow. So how does this work? Let's say that we have, your company has a competitor on LinkedIn who is posting a lot and is getting lots of traction, lots of engagement with the post, because we know posting is more important than ever in 2025, and even it's gonna become more important than ever going forward. So lots of new companies and lots of new people are now posting where they were not posting in the past. So let's say you have this competitor who's posting a lot. and you would like to try to engage with the people who liked that post. So what do? We get into Expandi, we click on the search, and we add a new search. We select, in this case, a post engagement search. The post engagement, as it says, allows you to scrape off the data off of any kind of public post off of LinkedIn. So it's very much super easy. We just copy paste the URL of the LinkedIn posting here, and just as easy as that, we're going to be able to scrape all of the people that liked, reacted, or commented on those posts. So you can see by how by using the same framework we used before. So again, starting from intent, in this case, we're starting from an expressed intent. We know that these leads, those potential new customers, have expressed they're interested by commenting or liking a post of a competitor who's offering something that you offer as well. So what we can do is get the data of the people who have actually expressed interest by liking or commenting and reach out to them with a sequence that we create. So after creating the post engagement search, we're going to have, as you can see, the list of people. In this case, I scraped the people off of a post of our CEO, Glenn Misroy, where he was talking about founding, basically founding a SaaS and having some the troubles, let's say, of a startup. And I created a dedicated builder campaign. Now, the builder campaign is one of our most advanced one because it's the one that I was showing you before is the one that allows you to create your own custom flow. So again, since I got the question before, yes, we are also able to create more, let's say, basic campaign into which we just send connection requests and automate follow-ups. And those are called connector campaigns. And those are very simple, very basic. But in this case, we're looking at something a bit more advanced because again, we want to be using multi-channel, right? So in this case, we create a builder and we populate it with the people that we got from the search on the public post. What do we do from there? From there, the first step is going to be to, as usual, visit their profile. So as usual, we just want to start with those social signals to make sure that we warm the lead up. After that, I added something that I feel is very interesting, which is the ICP filter. The ICP filter is a condition that basically allows us in Expandi to divide in different branches the different people and niches that we're going to be encountering on the post. So again, in this post, we were talking about SaaS and founding a startup. And what I expect is there's going to be mostly founders talking on this post and liking and engaging with it, and perhaps some salespeople, because that's generally what we see in these types of posts. So I created two different ICPs, as you can see here. I selected some locations, I selected the same industry, and then I put some tags with the job titles. So in this case, I used all the most commonly used keywords for the job titles. So CEO, founder, co-founder, CFO, CMO. And in the second endpoint, I kept the same location, the same industry, but I put some sales keywords so that we can differentiate those two flows. Now, by having the ICP filter, you can see how this prevents the need of having multiple campaigns who are all the same, and the only thing that changes is having a different ICP, and we can have just one highly structured detailed campaign that allow us to just, have everything in one and be able to control everything in one single campaign. And with that, of course, it's easier to read the stats, it's easier to interpret the data, and it's easier to just structure it, and you waste less time altogether. So what are we going to do in this case? We have visited the profile as the first action. Then we're going to wait for 1 day. And after 1 day, we're going to follow the profile. So, and just like we did before, after another day, we're going to like a post. So the same first simple 3 actions to warm up the lead. Now, after that, we have added an if connected condition. Now, here is where it gets a little tricky. The first if connected condition that you can see here, we have placed it because it allows Expandi to detect whether we are already a connection, a first degree connection of the lead that has been pushed in here. And if we are, in this case, I don't want to re-engage with them because perhaps I've already done business with them. I don't want to, say something that is not relevant because we've already had conversation priors. So I'm just going to like a post because I'm not trying to re-engage with them. I'm trying to engage with the new people that I haven't connected with. So from the if connected condition, if I am not connected to them already, I will send them a connection request. And in this connection request, starting again from our mantra, which is going to be going with the context. So they come from the post that we know what we're talking about. So we're going to craft a message that is relevant to the post, is not salesy, we're not trying to pitch, and we are genuinely just trying to network. The thing we have to remember about LinkedIn, this is kind of a general knowledge tip, but it's always important to keep it in mind, is that we don't want to be selling straight up. It's not a platform to sell. It's a platform to network. and then the opportunities grow and they create. And when you have, productive conversations, something can pop up. But we cannot expect to get into LinkedIn, send 50 connections in a day, and try to sell the first message, because unfortunately that is not going to work. So what we did in this case is we write something like this. Hi, first name. I saw you engage with Glenn's post on hard startup lessons. Tons of painful truths in there, especially the bits I'm chasing the wrong ICP. Hits a bit too close to home. Thought I'd say hi. So as you can see, we are not trying to sell. We are just trying to network. We're trying to get them interested in us before we show interest in them. We're gonna try to balance this out with them. Now, after sending this connection request, we have a second if connected condition. So as you can see, it's going to be the same one we did before. But why is that? This one has a different sort of logic behind it. The second if connected condition has a wait that says wait for 4 days. This basically means that in Expandi, after we have sent the connection request, we're allowing those leads a total amount of 4 days to accept our connection request. Now, there's a reasoning behind it. The logic behind it is that if they accept in a maximum amount of time that is 4 days, they're going to be immediately pushed into a positive path, and they're going to receive some follow-up messages, and the conversation is going to keep going. But if they don't accept in the time of 4 days, we are going to push them with our integrations button into a Smartlead campaign. So as you can see, just like we did before in the previous cases, we're starting from Smartlead and then going into Expandi to try another channel. And here we're doing the same thing, but reversed. We're starting from Expandi, from another context. And then if the direct approach on LinkedIn is way too personal, if it doesn't feel correct, if it doesn't stick with the lead, because sometimes it just works like that, we go into another channel and we re-engage, perhaps using kind of a different tone, a more polite, maybe a little bit more formal, depending on what your strategy is.
Matthew,
Now,
sorry to cut you short.
yeah,
Two quick call-outs. One,
sure.
a lot of people have observed this as well. Your battery is running out, so we don't want you to drop off while you're presenting it.
Oh God.
And yeah, the second part is
Okay.
a lot of users are also calling this out that, you know, with ideally they'd want to be able to see how you're going to be pushing it into Smartly. So
Mhm.
probably if you could just walk them through that step as well, because that's confusing the users right now. Yeah, Weber, back.
Absolutely, no problem. No, I get it. I mean, it's the first time that you see the platform. I get how that can be confusing.
Yeah.
Well, basically, how to set up the integration is going to be very, very easy. We just get into the LinkedIn settings that we can see here in the tab, and we have the integration apps part. From here, it's just going to be a matter of clicking on connect, like we see here, and there's going to be an API key that we can find into Smartlead as well, that we're just copy pasting here and then click on connect. It's really a one-step passage. It's as easy as that. And this is how we get to the two softwares to dialogue with one each other. Then this, of course, is the first step of the integration. When the two softwares are going to be connected, the way that we push them from our campaign in Expandi to Smartlead, again, I'm going to get into the builder campaign that I just showed you. It's just by dropping these actions. So as you can see here on the left, we have actions and we have conditions. What we're going to do is just drag and drop the integration step. We are going to select the connected app we're going to do the integration with, which is going to be Smartlead. And then we're going to select into which campaign we want to be pushing them. It's really as easy as that, right? We drag and drop, we select, and we connect it. It's just like a couple of steps sort of deal. As you can see, it's very easy to understand as well. Probably the most amount of time is going to be spent by thinking about what kind of flow we want to be performing and what's the strategy behind it. But then the actual execution of it is going to be very easy, which is why we want to, we want to talk to you about this kind of integration, because by having it so easy, it doesn't take anymore to have 20 webhooks that push from here and pull from there and enrich here and enrich there. It's just going to be as straight up as possible. So that's the practical way on how we do that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll get the charger real quick because we don't want to die out, right? If you just give me 30 seconds, I'm going to reach to my charger because we don't want to interrupt the session in a minute. Would that be good?
Go for it, Matteo. In the meantime, I'm just
Okay,
collating all the questions for you. Probably when you return, we can just answer
absolutely.
some of the questions and then yeah, take it forward from there.
Absolutely. I'll be right back. Give me a second. Sorry.
Folks, drop all your questions in the chat uh, while Matteo is returning with his charger and rightly called out by most of you. Just drop your questions in the chat. I'll act as your voice and on your behalf ask all your questions.
The awkward silence is tantalizing.
No more questions. Also, folks, if you have at any point of time a lot of questions, I would also request, there's a small option right next to the chat on the bottom panel. You can just click on that. It's called React, and you can raise your hands. We'll put you in queue because if you have multiple questions to ask, we want to ensure that you're here to learn with us and grow with us. So, yeah, just raise your hands. Make sure you keep your hands raised. We'll put you in a queue. We'll make sure we spotlight you, and you can ask your questions directly to Matteo.
Ooh. Um, there's always a chance of getting banned on LinkedIn. I think it's with any social platform, you want to ensure that you're not abusing it. Just like even with email accounts and Smartlead, if you're oversending, there's going to be a risk of that. So
Weber,
it's just about how you tipper your way through.
while
Yep.
Meteor returns, would you like to walk users through our story with LinkedIn?
So the reason why we don't have a LinkedIn automation integration is because the suits and ties at LinkedIn did not think we should offer a LinkedIn automation. And not that we didn't want to, we actually built it. We had it live, we had it going, we had it there for a few weeks, in fact, and we scaled it really fast. But someone in the big blue was not happy. And because they're not happy, we got served, as the cool cats call it, and we had to turn it off because they kicked us out of LinkedIn and they blocked our accounts and started to send us fancy emails to scare us. So since then we stayed away for that very reason. But we're gonna integrate with heaps of fun people instead. I'm not in the mindset to go ahead and deal with lawyers from a $41 billion business. Asan, that's a fabulous question as to why we just got picked but others didn't. That's a mystery for me, just to be honest with you.
I'm back. Sorry for the wait,
Awesome. Let's go
Awesome.
for it.
but we are here.
Awesome. So, Matteo, I have all the questions ready for you. I'm just going to start. There are
Mhm.
a lot of them, but we're going to make sure that this is productive for the other people on the call as well, because we do have a lot more stuff to cover, folks. So, I would request please limit your questions or drop them or hold them on for the end, because we will be giving you an opportunity to ask Matteo your questions one on one. That being said, I'll just start with the first one. It's by Aris. When Expandi connected to our email sending platform, does it allow our email messaging more personalized?
So Expandi is actually going to be focusing more onto the LinkedIn side of things. That is why we decided to actually collaborate with Smartlead first off, because again, we do also allow to send maybe emails from here. We have a direct SMTP integration. But again, having the first collaboration with Smartlead allow us to get as much the personalization as possible. I think that the goal here is to first off, make sure that we have all the data needed so that we can personalize as much as possible, because that's kind of, the basics of the game, making sure that we enrich our data as much as possible when we're starting out. And then from there, the personalization depends heavily on the platform we're going to be working with. So on Expandi, we're going to use our placeholders to send different messaging, which of course are going to be, our first name, our last name, our job title, company name, all of the kind of data that we find on LinkedIn first off. But we can also create custom dynamic placeholders if we enrich with our data. And the same thing is going to be possible to be done on Smartlead. So what I recommend is, if we want to be crafting highly personalized, detailed emails, we are going to be using a Smartlead in that case.
Awesome. Perfect. On to the next question quickly from Daniel. How do you avoid getting us banned from LinkedIn for automating connection requests? Is the system send one request per hour or something like that?
All right. Maybe let's talk first about the safety part of it. Of course, we always try to take as many measures as possible to make sure that your account doesn't get flagged or doesn't get suspended. Let me just say that firsthand, I have never seen a permanent ban happen because of the use of Expandi. The worst I've seen have been some suspension, like few days suspension, but that's the worst I've seen. and that's saying a lot, I think. But of course, there are ways around it. We have to make sure that we're doing outreach safely because, of course, we are still working on a different platform. It's not ours, LinkedIn. We don't own LinkedIn. So we want to make sure that we are able to do LinkedIn outreach safely by following those pillars. So the first one is going to be respecting LinkedIn's limits. So, especially when we're starting out, if our profile is not such of a high authority, if we don't have thousands and thousands of followers, we want to make sure that we start out with kind of a warm-up period. We want to start out by sending those 5, 6, 10 connections per day, but not much more than that for the first couple of weeks, 10 days to a couple of weeks, so that we have a gradual increase in the amount of connections and in general messages we're sending out. Then with the time going, of course, that can increase. And depending on how much LinkedIn allows you to do, you're going to be able to do more or less connection requests. Let me just say that heavily is influenced also by your SSI, which is your social selling index, which is a score that LinkedIn gives to your profile, depending on the quality of your network, the type of posts you're posting, how much you're engaging with others, depending on your whole activity on the platform. So depending on what LinkedIn allows you to do, you're going to be able to scale it up to even more connection requests per day. For example, the maximum I've seen, I think, on hyperactive accounts are close to like 40 to 50 connection requests per day, which is a crazy number if you ask me, because 50 connection requests per day, of course, it's not the volume that we have on emails, but we're respecting the limits that LinkedIn is giving us, but it's still quite a huge number, especially if we're considering that we're connecting directly with these people. And so yeah, depending on how active you are on the platform, how much you actually post, how much you engage with it, how much you actually work with LinkedIn actively, you're gonna be allowed to be able to do more actions or less actions. But yeah, on a safety perspective, as long as we do follow the rules that we suggest in Expandi, and as long as we don't overdo it, we don't force it to be sending more connection that we should actually be sending, and we don't go crazy with it as soon as we start, it's actually super safe and good.
Awesome. Perfect. Last two questions before we jump right in. I think most of them have been answered on chat. But I think you've already answered with respect to what the safe limits are for getting banned, and what you should be expecting when people are dropping it on Expandi. Okay. Kunal, you can only connect LinkedIn because Expandi is just for LinkedIn. You cannot do Meta, Google AdWords, or Google DV360. They are performance marketing platforms. This is more of outreach being done through LinkedIn. So these are completely two different use cases for you. And yeah, let me just check if there are any other questions. Uh, Okay, last question from Aris before we move on. And then, folks, I would really request you to just hold on to your questions towards the end. Mark is already doing the best practices, raising his hand and keeping himself in the queue. But that's exactly what I would expect you folks to do as well. Uh, the last question is, at most, what is the probability of my LinkedIn account getting restricted? And this is an interesting one because I'm curious about it as well. What is the probability of my LinkedIn account getting restricted if enrolled to these automated activities? Considering my LinkedIn account has mid to high authority, what are some of the best practices that you can share?
Sure. All right. So let's assume again that as you were mentioning that you're starting to do outreach right now. You haven't done it yet, but you have kind of a medium to high authority. So you have some connections, you have been doing some posting, you have a quality network. So what I recommend generally is to start, as I was mentioning, with the account warm-up. Now, with the account warm-up, we're able to actually ramp it up slowly and make sure that we're able to perform the actions that we need to be performing without overriding the amount that LinkedIn suggests us. Now, as long as we don't go over the limit, which is going to be, again, when we're completely warmed up, we're going to be expecting to be able to send between 20 and 30 connection requests per day, which is still quite a good number, considering that generally LinkedIn says that 100 is the maximum. We almost always go over the 100 maximum a week, basically, even when you're starting out. As long as you finish the account warm-up, you're immediately going to go over 100 per week. But still, if you follow the warm-up, if most importantly, we let Expandi run and do its job, and we don't log into LinkedIn in the exact same time with like 10 different tabs, liking, commenting, and doing many different actions while Expandi is working as well, that's kind of like one of the highest factors of risk, I believe, then we're kind of smooth sailing. What matters the most is that we use our proxy, so we select where we are living in Expandi so that we can make sure that when Expandi is logging into our LinkedIn profile, it's doing it from a proxy, from an IP that is coming in the same country where we're staying at the moment or where we're living. As long as we do that, we set some active hours and we don't start logging in and performing those actions ourselves manually when Expand is running, and we don't go over normal limits. As long as we follow these three kind of main procedures, we're absolutely good. We don't have to worry too much about getting banned or restricted. It's all about being conscious of what we are doing. And the only people that I really have seen getting suspended in my experience, it's always been people who are always pushing way too much with the connections. It's people who are maybe trying to start with Expandi, start doing some outreach, and they're either not warming it up for a couple of weeks, or after a couple of weeks, they're already expecting to be able to send 40 connection, 50 connection requests per day. And again, that is not something that we decide ourselves. That's something that LinkedIn assigns to us. And the real thing is, we can get to that point if we do some steady and continuative work. And if we don't stop, we keep outreaching. You're going to see that if you do that and you post and you actually work into LinkedIn as your main hub for prospecting as well, you're going to be seeing that on your own, Expandi is already going to be increasing of a couple a month, for example, even 5 connection requests per month here and there. So every few months, you're going to see that it's going to ramp up, and you're going to be allowed to ramp up a little bit the limits. But what matters is that we listen to the signal that LinkedIn gives us. So if we have any other questions, we can absolutely go forward. Or
I think Mark has
yeah,
figured that out. And I'm sorry, folks, this is the last question that I'll be entertaining because I want to be respectful of Matteo's time as well. He's got a lot more to cover and a lot more insights to provide. As I mentioned, if you have any questions, there's the react button at the very bottom panel right next to the chat option. Click on it, raise your hands. We'll entertain all your questions on a one-on-one setting. But that being said, the last question for this would be, could you show us the list of signals that you're looking at? This is a question from Mark. His question is, firstly, this is huge for him. I've seen these intent-based flows like comment hijacking, even hijacking flows outside of LinkedIn, and Dripify bringing them into Expandi is a game changer. People don't know how significant this is. So all he wants to look at is probably how are you getting through these intent-based flows and signals, and what are the list of signals that you're using on Expandi?
All right. So yes, when we're talking about the signals that I want to be showing in my campaigns, kind of one tip and trick that I really think is making a big difference here is knowing who we are bringing into these campaigns, right? So talking about the signals themselves, as you can see, we have many of them in the actions tab. We have the visit profile, follow company, skill endorsement. We can like a post, we can with webhooks, we can perhaps do something else as well. They're always kind of going to be the same, right? They're the LinkedIn actions that we perform on LinkedIn when we work with it manually, and we don't automate everything. So in this case, we're able to automate steps that generally are perceived as manual, because again, when you're going to be, for example, visiting a profile of someone, then liking a post that talks about a specific topic that then you're going to be covering with the connection request message, you can see how it keeps the context clear and alive, and it stays aligned with our goal. So the actions we're performing are always going to be kind of the same. The visiting, the following, and the liking a post is what I like to use the most. I think that what matters is, as usual, following the intent. Now, something else that could be a very useful tips and trick in this case is, we know that the leads notice our visiting, our following, and our liking if they log into LinkedIn. So how can we make sure that we are reaching out to someone who is logging into LinkedIn? There's a nice trick for that. So, I showed you the search before. So I've shown you how you can import and populate Expandi with new leads. There's a very interesting search for who has Sales Navigator, which is called the Sales Nav search. With the Sales Nav search, we're able to just create a list of leads into Sales Navigator and then import it here. And where's the real tips and the real trick here? The thing is, in Sales Nav, we have a little toggle, a filter that says filter with only people who have been active on LinkedIn in the last month. What does that mean? That means people who have actually posted in the last month on LinkedIn. So by actually scraping only people who we know have posted in the last month, we already know that those people are probably trying to grow their network. They're probably trying to grow their organic growth. And by that, we know that they log into LinkedIn more often than usual. So they're at least once a day logging into LinkedIn to either post or comment or see their performance or just work on it. So that gives us a little tip, because with that, we know that our social actions like visiting, following, and liking are going to be noticed every single day. So this is kind of something that I would recommend using if you really want to make as much use and the social signals as possible. All right. So if we can just jump into the fourth and last flow that I prepared for you today, because it's also my favorite, I would love to do that. We have seen how we create the post engagement flow. As I'm gonna be repeating, we just take the people of a public post and we put them in here. Now let's see how we go with the last flow, which is gonna be the inbound flow. Now this is my favorite. Why? Because as I was mentioning, we love posting, we love content, and it's getting more and more important the more we go on with our journey. So in this case, if we have Sales Nav, of course, this is going to be, I'm going to have to preface this, we're going to need to have Sales Navigator for this search, for this type of campaign, but we are going to be able to directly target who is visiting our profile first. So you can see how in this case, we already kind of have the higher ground, because these leads have visited our profile and they have shown some interest either in a post, in a comment that we've did. We have done something that has sparked their interest and they wanted to see our profile. So they're visiting us. And with that, while knowing that, we create a campaign that directly targets them. So what do we do? Just like we did before, I first off put an ICP filter, because even in this case, the logic behind it is going to be that there's going to be people from different niches jumping into my profile. So the first thing I want to do is qualify them and create different branches depending on what they do, so that I can give them a message that's contextual to what their position is and what they're doing on my profile, So in this case, just like I did before, I separated between the senior level positions like the CEO, the owner, the co-founders, and the salespeople, because these are generally the one that I see the most on my profile in this case, let's say. After qualifying them with the ICP filter, we start creating the flow very similar to the one we created before. So again, we start with the social signals. First, we did a little visit profile as a first action. Then we have gone through the ICP filter, we follow, and we like a post. So just like we did before, we send those social signals. Then again, after sending the social signals, we check if we are connected to them. If we are, we maybe want to send some follow-up messages, because they're already connected with us, they've seen our profile, so maybe we just want to re-engage with them to keep our relationship tight. While if they're not connected with us and they have seen our profile, maybe because of our content or because something that we have commented somewhere, we want to send them a connection request. And just like we did before, we're going to allow them to have 4 days to accept our connection request. Now, this can be seen, just like in the previous campaign, as a short amount of time to allow the lead to accept their connection request. But the reason behind it is that we don't want to lose the flame. We want to keep it burning. So in this case, if we send a connection request and in 4 days they have still not accepted the connection, we want to make sure that we keep re-engaging with them. And since in this platform it didn't work, we're going to push them in Smartlead with our integration action again. So we're just going to drag it from here, drop it, select the campaign where we want to be pushing them, and just as easy as that, when they get to the end of this flow, after 4 days of not accepting our connection, they're going to be pushed into Smartlead so that we can re-engage with them onto another platform, keeping the same context. So if here I wrote something in a connection request like, "Hi, first name, I saw you visited my profile recently. I figured I'd reach out. I'm speaking with other software founders lately about how to scale outreach without compromising personalization. Happy to share ideas if relevant." These can be seen as kind of a generic message, and it kind of is a little bit. But the core reason behind it is that I'm not pitching anything. I'm using the advantage that they have given me by visiting my profile first. So I'm not being, I'm not pushing too hard. I'm just saying what I'm doing, and I'm reaching out because you visited my profile first. So I'm kind of using this interaction to make something out of it, to not waste it. And this is the idea behind the inbound campaign, which I like to run, and I feel like it's the one that converts the most, because again, we're on those high ground and we want to be using it. So yes, this was the fourth and last flow that I prepared for you today. As you can see, two flows that start from Smartlead and then get pushed into Expandi, and two flows that start from Expandi and then get pushed into Smartlead. In this way, you can see how we have different paths, different ways to go about it. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the same purpose, having a multi-channel approach that allow us to not waste any lead and try to work with them on every kind of touch point we can have. Perfect. So I'm guessing there are going to be lots of more questions. So if there is so, please let me know. I'll be glad to answer them.
Matteo, I think we can entertain the questions towards the end. Right, folks, if you have any questions, again, to be respectful of Matteo's time as well, just raise your hands, keep yourselves in the queue. We'll spotlight you. We'll give you the opportunity to ask Matteo questions one-on-one. This will also help educate the other users as well. So yeah, Matteo, I think you can just proceed with the final flow, and then we can open the flow for Q&A.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, this was actually the fourth and last flow that I have prepared. One last thing that I could tell you before actually getting into the Q&A is that for this special session, we have also prepared a special deal in the sense that whoever wants to try Expandy right now is going to be able to not only have the regular 7 days trial, but is going to have a 14 days trial. Now, this may seem small, but I'm telling you, it's a big difference. It's a big deal because especially when we're working on LinkedIn, a few days can make a difference because it's not just we're not sending 10,000 connection requests in a day. We're sending probably 10 to 20 on the first couple of weeks. So having a few, like an extra week to be able to send those connections and see the first interactions, the first results with the leads is gonna definitely make a difference. Now, we don't have a link at the moment to give you, but tomorrow, since you signed up to the webinar, tomorrow you're gonna receive an email with the link. So you're gonna be able to sign up through the link and get those 14 days free trial. And there we
Awesome.
go.
Awesome. That's lovely. Folks, anybody who is interested in this offering, we'll be shooting out that offering on email for everybody who's attended, along with the recording of the session tomorrow. So just look out for that space. And for everybody else who has questions, go to the bottom panel right next to the chat option, click on React. You should see the ability to raise your hand. Click on raise hand and we'll spotlight you and we'll have you ask questions to Matteo directly. With that being said, I think Kunal is already ready to ask you questions. So I'm just going to spotlight him real quickly. And yeah, Kunal, go for it.
Yeah, thanks, Matteo. It was a lovely session. I just wanted to check, can we export all the data into Google Sheet? Let's say who has reacted, who has posted, who has liked it or something.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So actually, let me just show you real quick. Again, we're gonna just jump back into Expandy so you can see how that looks like. Because of course, we want to make sure that reporting works the right way. So in this case, we're talking about the post engagement search. So people who have liked, commented, engaged with it, anything we want. So we can just get into the search feature. We select the post engagement search we've done. And as you can see here, we have lots of filters we can use depending on what's the use of the lead we want to be making. So as you mentioned here, we can use the type of reaction that they have done to the post, or even if they have commented or if they have not commented. So we can absolutely use those filters to select and divide the leads that we have, and then we can export them as a CSV. So we can do whatever we want with the CSV because we're going to have all of the LinkedIn data. So we can rearrange them. We can create graphics with it. We can do anything we want. But yes, we're going to be able to filter also through the type of reaction or engagement they had with us.
1 minute. I'll just unmute you again, Kunal.
Yeah, I just wanted to check, can we automate this also?
Also, you mean automating, being able to scrape only the people who have, no, and that we're not going to be able to do that. We're going to need to get all of the people from the post, and then depending on after we have done the scraping and we have done the search, then we can rework them differently or perhaps push them somewhere else depending on what kind of reaction they've done. But in the first instance, we're going to need to have them all. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kunal. Folks, anybody else who's raising their hands, I would love it if you could just switch on your cameras quickly so that I can add you to the spotlight. If not, all good. I completely understand. I'll still ask you to unmute and ask your questions. So go for it. Hello, Ehsan.
Oh, all right. Can you guys see me? There we go.
Yeah.
Hi. All right. So, quick question for you guys. We're new to Smartlead. Uh, we're getting used to the software. We love it. It's great. The thing that I have a question on with Expandi is, let's just say we're going to send out 10,000 emails. Okay, those are going to go out, and then we want to have a campaign behind those emails to then use Expandi to reach out to these LinkedIn contacts. Because, LinkedIn, you can't send 5,000 messages in one day like you can with an email. So, can you have an automated system, automatic, turnkey set up where the emails are going out to, let's say, one company you're targeting, sending out 5,000 emails in that week. And then for the next month, Expandy is targeting that campaign list of people with knowing what date it sent those emails and kind of filtering it to creating a message that's whether using Spintax or other things that's, kind of personalized towards those people. Is that possible?
Yes, so that's actually how it's going to be working in the sense that, as you mentioned, first off, thanks for the question. As you mentioned, we're going to have a limit, to the amount of connection requests and messages we can be sending out. So the idea behind it is the logic behind it is going to be that after we have sent those 10,000 emails, we can scrape the people who have either bounced, liked, opened the email, or clicked on a link on an email, and then we get only those people who have done one specific type of action into Expanding. So the thing we can do in this case could be create different types of searches, one for the people who have opened it, one for the people who have responded to it, one for the people who have bounced on the email. Get those 3 different searches and assign them to 3 different campaigns. And of course, since it's going to be 10,000 contacts and they're not going to be all added at the same time, well, actually, they're going to all be added at the same time, but the flow is going to take time to work. So yes, absolutely, it's going to go for the next probably month because 10,000, it's a hell of a number to be working through LinkedIn. So yes, it's going to be taking some time, and it's exactly the way it works.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course, a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Ehsan. I think there's one more question that we have. Just gonna remove you from spotlight. It's by Viswa. Viswa, if you could just turn on your camera, I could spotlight you and you can ask your question. Awesome, awesome. Adding you to the spotlight, lovely. Go for it.
My question is to Matteo. If I'm running a campaign in Smartlead, in one email campaign, today I sent 100 emails. 20 people are opened my emails today. So I need to send the connection request to those people today through Smartlead, or I need to copy paste those LinkedIn URLs into expand8.o. What is the ratio? So what I need to do from the
Yeah, let
Smartlead,
me
I have to send the connection request, or do
yes,
from the
I'll just show
expand.io.
you. Yes, I'll just show you real quick how we do it. So
Yeah.
basically, the flow is going to be that we get into Expandy. And as I was mentioning, the first step is going to be to use the searches. So we're going to do add a new search, and we're
Okay.
going to select connected apps. From connected apps, we select Smartlead. And from Smartlead, we select the campaign that we have selected, like the campaign that we are talking about in this moment. Let's assume that it's product signups. Now, with this kind of search, then we select the sequence status of the leads. So in this case, maybe let's say that you're going to be targeting people who have opened your email or even they replied to your email, right? In this case, let's say that we select the people who have replied, we click on next, we give a name to the search, we select product signups, and then we click on confirm. Now with this, we're just going to give link Expandy couple of minutes, and it's going to pull in here all of those 20 people who have replied to your campaign. And from there, it's just going to be a matter of clicking, assigning those leads to a campaign. So in order to do that, you're just going to be able to, let's say you want to just send them a connection request, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to have a simple flow. We're going to create a connector campaign, which is going to be the basic one, the one that, as you can see from the flow, sends a connection request. And if it gets accepted, sends follow-ups. We create this. And after creating it from the people part, we are going to select the searches we have just done, or we can also do it from the searches. So we have created the campaign, we get here, and we assign, in this case, I have 0 because I haven't, there was a test campaign, I haven't sent any. We just click on assign all to campaign. We select the campaign we want to be connecting them to, so the one that we just created, and we assign them to the campaign. And just like this, in like 5 clicks, you're gonna have all those people that replied on Smartlead assigned to a campaign in Expandi.
Oh, for that, in Smartlead, I need to add all the LinkedIn URLs.
So I guess that depends from where you got the leads from in the first place. If they're not enriched yet, then they're gonna need it, because in order to be able to work on Expandi, you are gonna need to have a profile URL, because you're gonna need to be able to visit the profile, engage with the profile. So you're gonna need that data. If you don't have it yet, yes, you would need to enrich with those kind of data first.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Visva. Kunal, I will come back to you, but I believe Mark also has a question. So right after Mark, I'll get back to you. Hey, Mark, I'm just gonna add you to the spotlight, and yeah, there you go. Oh, 1 minute. I think I removed Matteo from the spotlight. You're adding him as well.
There we go.
Yeah, go for it.
Unmute. Okay, sorry, having difficulty unmuting. Okay, so folks, I just want to make sure that everyone really appreciates what's going on here, because this business of looking at intent signals is a really big deal, and I don't think Matteo has quite gone through how many different ways you can do it. So he just showed us an example of, connecting, looking at a particular campaign in Smartlead where something has happened. And so think about other things that are things that people do. For example, they attend events. I saw him scroll past an event hijacking thing. So you can detect events that happen that are related to your business, and then scrape all the people that attended that event and then reach out to them. This is incredibly powerful because they just attended this event. It's so relevant. Your message is just perfectly timed and relevant. And I really want everyone to appreciate how important this is, because I've been trying to do this kind of stuff outside of LinkedIn, outside of Smartlead, using things like N8N and other workflows. Bringing it inside Expandi is a big enough deal for me to switch products. I've been using Dripify for 4 years. I'm ready to switch based on this. It's such a big deal.
Amazing.
That's
I'm
all I
super
want to
glad to
say.
hear that. I'm very, very glad to hear that. I mean, I just think that we're at the point where we've never been before, as you were mentioning. So we can really, I didn't go too deep into every single signal we can use, because like we would be here for hours and hours. There's just so many different ways we can pull those people and populate Expandi with, that it's really highly dependent on what kind of strategy you want to be using and who you're going to be talking with, because depending on the ICP, it will make a difference if they come from an event, or if they come from a post, or if they come from a conversion. But yeah, as you mentioned, there's many, many different ways to do it. And I mean, it couldn't be easier than this, just having a direct integration like this. We just connected with one click, copy pasting an API key, and we're in. And then just like that, we can pull leads from from Expandi to Smartlead, from Smartlead to Expandi. So it's really as easy as it's ever been. So yeah,
I'm
appreciate
guessing,
it.
Matteo, that what you showed us when you showed us the connected apps is you can basically do the same kind of thing from other apps where there's some event happened. Is that correct? What
Well,
other apps are you connected to that you could see some event and act upon that?
Yeah, so no, the actual integrations that we have at the moment, the connected apps we have at the moment, are going to be mainly Smartlead, and then we have SendSpark and iPrice. But those two are more used towards the personalization of the messages. Like SendSpark allows you to send videos into a LinkedIn message, and iPrice for GIFs and images. But what we're talking about in this case, probably talking about the searches or the campaigns that I've shown. So the other type of ways that we have to scrape people into LinkedIn from different points of LinkedIn. So either from our company page, or an event, or a group, and then populate and get all their data, and then use those data for Smartlead as well.
Very cool. Thank you very much.
Of course, it's a pleasure.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark, for all that praise and those lovely words. We really love and appreciate you attending the session as well. Awesome. Folks, last question for the day. I'm just going to hand it back to Kunal here. And yeah, Kunal, go for it.
Uh, thanks, Matteo. I just have three questions together. One, how many profile can you add it into Expandi? That's one. And can we scrape the data from webinar attendees? Like if we are posting an event on LinkedIn, can we scrape that data saying that if people has clicked on going to interested, can we scrape that data? Or is it possible through a webhook or some way we can get the data of the website visitor who has spent some intent on my website and wanted to get them into LinkedIn, try to do connection request now?
So first off, going in order, first question, how many LinkedIn accounts we can connect to Expandy? Actually, it's unlimited. I mean, in the sense that depending on what kind of use you're going to be having of Expandy, whether it's going to be you're working in an agency, and you have one manager and you have 5 sales assistants, and then those 5 sales assistants are going to have each and every one a seat. So what we call a seat, what it's actually a LinkedIn account in Expandy. You can have as many as you want. And also we have, features that already prevents 2 different sales assistants from the same company reaching out to the same person. So it is built out to be both for agencies and the sales teams. So that's the first question. The second question, yes, with the event search, we are able to scrape all of the people who are attending an event. So whoever clicked on "I will attend it" is going to be pushed into that search, and we're going to be able to do any kind of campaign we want with that search, of course. And while the third question was yes, so with the webhooks, so I didn't cover too much about the webhooks just because I am not that much of a user of them myself, in the sense that they're, it gets very intricate and it gets very much on a more tech savvy level that I like to be. I like to be more in the marketing level side of things, let's say. So, but yes, the good part about the webhook is that they allow you to customize and personalize as much as you want. So depending on what kind of plugins and softwares you have on your website, and depending on what kind of data you are tracking on your website, you are actually going to be able, with the webhook, to be pushing them into Expand as well, for sure.
Okay, thanks a lot because I am from both from the marketing side as well as from the tech side. So due to that reason, my questions are a little bit from that particular side also. Thanks
Amazing.
a lot, Matteo.
Amazing. Of course. It's a pleasure. Glad to hear that.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Kunal, for all those
Thanks for the session.
details. Really helped it.
Thanks.
And yeah,
Thanks for being.
thank you so much, folks, for joining this session. We really loved everybody and all those interactive questions. If you have any further questions, please, please, please do feel free to connect on LinkedIn with Matteo and the team at Expandi, right? And also, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to them. For the special offer that has been called out by them, we will be dropping that tomorrow via email and the recording as well. So don't worry if you joined late, if you missed anything, we've got you covered. And also one thing that's constant, death, taxes and office hours every Thursday. We'll see you next Thursday. Thank you, folks. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure.